Don't believe so.
You're all set to begin whenever you're ready, Lindsay.
All right, thank you very much, Sarah. I'll call the Monday, February 27th, 2023 meeting of the Barnstable Community Preservation Committee to order. Please note that tonight's meeting is recorded and broadcast on Channel 18, and in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, the chair must inquire whether anyone is taping this meeting and to please make their presence known. Seeing none, I'll move to the approval of the minutes. Great job again by our team of Marilyn and Ellen. Any changes, additions, omissions?
This is Deb. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I just have one change, which is under member discussion. It's Jillian came and spoke to us, the administrator of the trust came and spoke at the Barnstable Housing Authority annual meeting, not the CPC annual meeting.
Very good. Any other changes or additions to the minutes from last month's meeting? Seeing none, I'd take a motion for approval of the January 23rd, 2023 minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? I will call the roll. Deb Converse,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
Yes.
Tom Lee,
Yes.
Polly Lewis,
Yes.
Stephen Robichaud,
Yes.
Lindsay Council votes yes. Is Terry Duenas with us? Or Marilyn Fifield? Not here yet. Okay.
Nope.
We'll move on. First item is an application from the Department of Public Works requesting $999,755 in community preservation, open space, and recreation funds for the design and installation of a new playground, sidewalk, shade structure, parking, and retaining wall located at 93 West Bay Road, Osterville, map 116, parcel 053. Capital improvement funding, CIP, to be provided in the amount of $363,207. And Mark Marinaccio, I saw there he is. Mark?
Lindsay,
Give us
thank
your
you.
show.
Thank you. Sarah, do you have the presentation I sent this morning?
I do. 1 second, I'll get it up on the screen.
Thanks. This is the long-awaited application for the playground in Osterville.
Yes.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Next slide, please. So the Department of Public Works is seeking funding in the amount of $999,755 for construction of a new playground in Osterville. Where the improvements will include, a new playground, which would be developed by a community workshop outreach, as well as a playground committee. We'll develop a playground that will reflect the character of the community, as we always tried to do. We're going to develop play for 2 and 5-year-olds as a priority. I'll go into that a little bit later. Why? And 6 to 10-year-olds. Basically, each age group needs to have a separate kind of play area. A new accessible playground equipment, an accessible path to the playground, installation of compliant surfacing, a retaining wall installation to level out the grades there. And I'll show you on the site where that will be. Seating and a shade structure, bottle filling station, and landscaping. And really, this project is a continuation of rehabilitation we started years ago on this site. Sarah, give me the next slide, please. Thanks. So there are 11 playgrounds located throughout the 7 villages of Barnstable. Of the 11, only 5 are available to the public because the rest of them are at schools. But of the 5, only 2 are currently accessible. That would be Luke's Love Playground and the Veterans Park Playground. So we're really, right, we look at this as, and really our playground consultants look at this, that 6 to 10-year-olds have playgrounds at their schools. and they have recess, so they have access to playgrounds. But the younger group really doesn't, because those playgrounds are not accessible during school hours. So we look at like the Osterville Bay. There's a temporary playground we installed probably 4 years ago out there, which was equipment that we refurbished from Marston's Mills. The Centerville playground is in design right now to upgrade that, and that will be barrier free. The Veterans Park is in existence. Barnstable Hollow is in pretty rough shape. I don't even know if people are using that out there right now. And of course, Luke's Love, which we recently just had some surfacing issues, and we're putting in some patches when we receive our material. Next slide, Sarah. So basically that slide just shows that there's a need for some additional playgrounds. So we'll talk about the site a little bit. This image is a master plan that we developed in coordination with the Osterville Civic Association for the site. This has changed a little bit. It looks like the recreation building is going to be put off. I'm not sure how long, but there's really no push for it at this point in time. So we have a little bit of a slightly different plan that I'll show you later on in this presentation. The ball field has been completed, and that will be in use this spring. The tennis and pickleball courts, they are completed, and you can kind of see to the right of the tennis courts is the site that was slated for the new playground. So in 2016, CIP funding was acquired to demolish the old Bay School and the recreation building. At the time, we were asked not to demolish the recreation building until we could put together plans for a new one. So we still have some funding available in that 2016 CIP for the demolition of the recreation building. 2017, we had a combination of CPC funding and capital improvement funding for design and installation of the tennis and pickleball courts and some parking improvements, which has been completed and has been very successful. And in 2018, capital improvement plan was provided for design funds for a new recreation building, which we are about 80% complete with through design development. In 2019, the capital improvement funding for softball field and parking improvements, which is now complete. And now we're seeking funding for design and construction of the new playground. Sarah, can you give me the next slide, please? So what are the benefits of this location? It's centrally located. It's near the village center. It's near the library and shopping centers, restaurants, and as well as other recreational elements that are on site. There's a high level of public interest for this playground. And the play in this playground will be defined within a contained area, being the tennis courts to the south side of the building, and then there's a old Verizon brick building to the north. Next slide, please, Sarah. So, how do playgrounds benefit the community? They attract families to the community. They provide learning opportunities for children, as well as interaction with other children. They reflect the community and that it's a friendly place to be. They engage longtime residents. A lot of times you'll see elderly couples watching playgrounds, watching kids play. They encourage young people to get outside, which is pretty important with this whole COVID era. And encourages community interaction and increases visitation to surrounding businesses. Next slide, Sarah. So again, as mentioned, we are designing 2 age groups. They'd be separate areas, and they'd be signed as separate areas. One of the big pushes by the recreation department is to create more challenging play. We would have to have a shade structure there. That's one of the concerns that we have at a number of the playgrounds is just shade in the summer. And the town council wanted us a number of years ago to include water bottle filling stations at all of our new construction. So we were doing that. Of course, we had benches and a patio area for seating. There would be a combination of poured in place and other compliant surface materials. Fence around the playground, retaining wall. If you see that white line to the left of the sidewalk there, that's a 2-foot high retaining wall to level out the grade because it slopes down to the tennis courts. And a sidewalk connection, of course, to West Bay Road. And expanded parking would be paid for under the capital improvement plan, which we are seeking funding for at this time too. Next slide. And this is the budget broken down by the total project costs. $1,362,962, and then breaking down what community preservation funds can be used for and what the capital improvement funds would be for, which basically capital improvement funds would be for sidewalks and for solid surfacing, paving, solar trash compactor, and expansion of the parking lot, as well as project management fees. Next slide, Sarah. This is really a breakdown of the funding that we're requesting from the Community Preservation Committee tonight. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them about the project. So we're looking forward to this.
Thanks, Mark. Members? Go ahead, Catherine.
Hi, Mark. I was wondering a couple of different things. You said that there was a high level of interest in having a playground in this area. How was that determined? Like, in what way did people share that they wanted a playground here?
Well, people went to the local councilor and expressed that concern, as well as to the town manager. You know, we at DPW, we kind of just follow marching orders. We're not the people who set the tone for the town. It really comes from the community through town councilors and through the town manager's office. And so that was a big push. It was actually a couple of years ago when we were working on the master plan, we did sit down with a number of people with actually a playground committee and started working with a playground designer, talking about some of the issues here. But at that time, there was so much discussion about why they didn't have a playground already that we really couldn't get much accomplished at that point in time. And that was all wrapped up with the recreation center and the design for that new recreation building. So this is now kind of pulling back and regrouping, looking for funding for just the playground and moving forward with that. So there's definitely an interest in a new playground in that location.
I can add some clarity to Catherine. Rec Commission, it's been a priority of us to add. That was part of our tour that we did a number of years ago at this point, but we actually had to take out a playground. DPW has taken out 2 playgrounds, one in Osterville, one in Katuitt, just because it wasn't safe. So the old, not the Bay School that was torn down, but the other Osterville Elementary School, I believe it's Montessori School or something now, but there was actually a playground there that had to be removed because it was so dangerous. And as well as elements at the Katuitt playground, a number of them had to be removed because there was spikes and it was just not a good situation. So there's been a number of playgrounds that have actually been taken out of that side of town as well. So we've kind of worked in the wrong direction.
My other question was, what is the town's effort in trying to identify other grant funds other than CPC for this? Because this is a pretty big ask.
Well, we're always open to grant opportunities. We do a lot of things for grant opportunities with historic preservations when they're available. If, we're made aware of something or we come across something, then we definitely apply for it. In this case, I haven't really seen anything or not aware of anything for this particular location.
Thank you. Deb?
Yeah, I kind of did a comparison between the Centerville one and the Osterville one because I thought this was a pretty big ask too, even taking into consideration the prices have gone up on everything. So I did the comparison and then came up with a couple of questions about what will the surfacing be? Will it be the same as Centerville, that rubber stuff?
Yeah, we're in the process of selecting a new playground designer for the Centerville project. I think we just solidified that today. But the new playground consultant, she's recommended a number of different materials. Poured in place has become the standard because it's pretty much meets all the requirements for the fall heights for the equipment. There is artificial turf, which can be used. The issues are there are problems with making sure we have enough padding at certain locations for that, as well as the wood fiber. The problem with the wood fiber is that you need to continually maintain that. As children play on the playground equipment, it gets pushed out of the way and you have to maintain a certain thickness of material at certain locations. So one thing that we're not real great at is daily maintenance on certain locations. We're good at maintaining facilities over a period of time and visiting them, every couple of months, but we just don't have the manpower to do daily. So the poured in place has been kind of the surfacing that's worked out best for us.
Mhm.
We do have issues with board in place at the wear points, such as under swings or at the bottom of slides. But board in place can be repaired when the weather's warmer. And in the interim, there are rubber pads that can be cut into the surface to make it usable, during the colder weather. So it's kind of a very versatile material that DPW can kind of repair itself for the short term, as well as then hire a company to come in and actually repair the board in place in warmer weather.
Mhm. Okay. And will the same thing then be used in Centerville?
Yeah, we're looking. We just did our community outreach in Centerville. There were some concerns by some of the neighbors about using all port in place. So one of the suggestions to the playground designer we met with before we actually even sent out quotes was actually breaking those two play areas up, maybe with some type of path to minimize the amount of port in place, because port in place is expensive.
Yeah, because the cost compared to the other one in Centerville is a lot more.
Yeah, just realize that from January of 2021, prices have gone up almost 30%. So that's been something from COVID that we've been really dealing with, and it's been difficult.
I just was trying to make sure they were kind of equal. The other thing is, you said the equipment's going to be ADA compliant, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that means, ADA, accessibility,
Yeah.
and then getting into the playground as well, because that was mentioned in Centerville, will be the same because
Correct.
you have to. Okay.
Correct.
I did have another quick question. In 2013, the CPC did give money for design of the rec fields in off West Bay Road. So is this different money, or was it money that was spent and nothing to show for it, or?
The design money was for the field project, which is now complete.
Yeah, that's what I kind of thought.
And with the playgrounds, we really look for barrier-free, not just accessible, but actually barrier-free equipment.
I should never question you, Mark.
You should always question. It's good.
Go ahead.
Hi, Mark. I have a couple. One is a comment. I just want to point out on the material that you sent out earlier, not the presentation material. Your budget.
I sent a budget out that I don't know how that budget went out. That was a preliminary budget. And actually, when we had the preliminary meeting like a year ago for this project, you guys had mentioned about taking a look at some of the items that CPC might not be able to fund. And we've gone back and redone that, but somehow with the application, the wrong budget got sent out. The one on the screen today was the correct one. And the one actually in the the number in the application was actually correct. So yes.
Yeah, on the front page of the application matches your slide presentation.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I found that yesterday when I was working on the presentation. So I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. I just noticed this afternoon when I was looking at the number. It doesn't jive.
No, I know. It doesn't jive with the budget I included in the application, unfortunately.
So my question is, I think this may be to the member from the CPC as well. I'm wondering, because of the rising costs, and then you have to go through with your designer in terms of selecting the material. Is it feasible to say, okay, we go ahead with the design, we fund that portion, and then when you go into the design, your designer would be evaluating the engineering material and stuff like that to find out what the final number is? Because right now, that number doesn't mean too much until your designer is selected and pick the material, the price may be changing again.
Right. One flexibility we do have with the playgrounds is there are state contracts for playground equipment. So what we're looking at Centerville is we're looking at being able to purchase the equipment separately and then do a bid to actually do the installation and then the grading for the site. So that's one thing that we do have that's a money saving opportunities through the state contract that's available. Contracts that are available to us. So sometimes we do a combination of things so we can actually, if there's going to be a price change, we can actually purchase equipment sooner rather than later.
Right.
The bid may take another couple of months to get through to actual construction.
Thanks, Mark.
Anyone else, members?
I'll just add kind of on. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
You go ahead, Jim.
I was just going to say, Tom, to kind of that point, and to Mark's, we being on the Centerville Playground Committee, it probably has been, won't be as grandiose as initially intended. I mean, it's going to be a great playground, but costs have just gone insane on this stuff. And I think it's important to note too, for anybody listening, this is another playground not at a school, which it seems like a huge number, but these are playgrounds that anybody can use at any point during the day, which is huge. When you look at a lot of the playgrounds throughout the town, the school thing is really an issue, right? Grandparents taking their kids. It's really, really important. Luke's Love is the only playground in town right now, soon to be Centerville, that people really go to during the day throughout the school hours. And we're starting to see the wear and tear on it, right? We're having to patch that port in place already. We really need these playgrounds off the schools to kind of spread out some of this usage. So it seems like huge numbers, but we're really kind of concentrating. This will be the third playground that's really been redone outside of a school. So it seems big, but it's actually going to get a lot more use than you would probably expect. So just my 2 cents on that.
Thanks, Jim.
We're kind of looking at that.
Oh, go ahead, Mark.
So I said, we're really looking for this to be kind of a destination playground. I mean, if we build this with the proper materials, people will be coming there from other places, not just from town. Whereas other playgrounds that might be in a village might be smaller and might be just the village playground, but this will be something larger, similar to Luke's Love.
Thank you. Stephen.
Yes, definitely had some sticker shock as well. I mean, it's a huge number, but obviously things have gone up, and definitely, I think a good way for us to spend money for a great purpose. Mark, what is the general conditions? What does that refer to?
I'd have to look at my budget again. General conditions generally deals with site preparation, mobilization of the contractor to the site. Overhead and profit for the general contractor. That's basically his markups.
Okay. Understood.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Very good. Anyone else? Farley, did you? I had a couple questions for you, Mark. What will be the material for the retaining wall by the tennis court?
We'll have to have discussions with that with the community. I mean, it would be, they have those concrete block things or stone. We want it to be nice. We don't want it to turn into something terrible. It's not going to be railroad ties or anything that will fail over time. I mean, again, we haven't done design yet. We haven't really done design yet. So we have this schematic idea of what we want to do and where we want to go. In CAD, it looks a little more finished than it really is because we're working in CAD and in 3D and SketchUp, but it's really just a placeholder right at this point for development of a playground at that location. We have to go through the process.
I think in that location we should avoid natural stone or anything. I think maybe the the blocks would be appropriate because these are young kids and they climb everything in sight. So
it's on the wall. It's going to be less than 30 inches. It's probably about 24 inches in height. There's not a big grade change there. We just need to level out the site a little bit.
That'd be a great place to sit in the sun too.
Yep.
So I think maybe even poured concrete is, as that goes. And then the other question I have, when is that recreation building coming down?
I have funding left over from 2016 for that project. We have a contract with the architects who drew the original demolition drawings to reconstitute those. So I'm expecting those, within a couple of months and go out to bid. So I'm hoping by the fall we'd be in demolition on that project. It's in the way of the 200 to 75-foot outfield for the field. So it's a number of things that it's in the way of.
Well, I did see your little square on there for the bathroom building. It's going to be on that location as opposed to. Yeah,
that graphic was a part of the master plan. We're looking at the possibility of connecting the two streets with a parking area that travels through and goes past where the new playground would be. And then if the larger recreation building ever becomes funded, that parking lot would just go away, and the new building would go there.
Okay.
as well as in the interim, putting a small bathhouse in there. That would be basically a men's one, women's room, and a small storage area for, equipment for the field or the tennis courts or what have you for the rec department.
Okay. Very good. Any other comments from members? Being none, I'll open it to the general public. Anyone like to speak to this request from the DPW for playground funds for the Osterville area? Seeing none, anyone have any thoughts on a motion? Do they need more info?
I'll make a motion. I just want to clarify, Lindsay, do we have enough in the rec budget, or does this need to go?
We did not get a financial sheet for this meeting, so the way I would word the motion was to first take the money out of recreation and open space, and then the remainder out of
Undesignated. So I would make that
give Mark
motion
Milne flexibility
for the Osterville playground to first come from the rec budget, followed by the undesignated funds, as described by Mark tonight.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Stephen. Further discussion? Everyone clear on the motion?
Yep.
Seeing no more discussion, I'll call the roll. Marilyn Fifield,
Aye.
Deb Converse,
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli,
Aye.
Tom Lee,
Yes.
Farley Lewis,
Yes.
Stephen Robichaud,
Yes.
James Tenalia,
Yes.
and Lindsay Council votes yes. The only thing I do know about these playgrounds, though, is the longer you delay them, the more they cost. So we take the plunge, but in the long run, it'll be worth it. Very good.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
You're very welcome. We look forward to hearing from you very soon. Now we have our restriction review. We did get a couple back to look at, and this is great news that these things are finally moving along. If you have any comments on them, get them to Ellen and we'll get them to legal. And we look forward to moving some of those along. It's also time to look at our finances and see what projects we can wrap up.
Please.
So we'll do that as well too this winter period, and see if we can trim some of our to-do list. Any questions on the restrictions? They still have to go to Conservation Commission, LAPC, Council. They've got work to do, but they're moving. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to correspondence. We did get a letter from the Massachusetts Historical Society regarding the appeal of the Federated Church. Those of you who had a chance to look at that, again, they were denied, so they are ineligible for our funding. Any question, discussion on that? Seeing none?
Oh, well, I do. I have a question.
Sure.
So how do we avoid this from happening again? How can we come around in making sure that they understand that their structure is eligible or anything like that? I guess this kind of like was surprising to me.
Well, we now require that people submit their project plans and proposals to the Mass Historic and get approval first.
Yeah.
So as part of their application, they have to have had it, any appropriate historic districts. We get all that stuff up front. So, and that's, in the same contingencies, you need the historic restriction to be funded through CPC. So that's the correction. And we need to codify that language too, which another winter task for us will be to look at the handbook and those things and make any tweaks coming into the spring for our yearly meeting. So yeah, we've put in the requirements. You got to get approval up front. They'll even take your project. So
I just get I get a little concerned because they took so long to do anything that we could see, the Mass Historic.
Yep.
So they need to be aware that we're on it. Or
They're way better than the Mass office that manages the legal office that manages the conservation restrictions. Mass Historic is pretty good. They turned around this request for an appeal in a month or so. So that's pretty darn good.
not from the beginning though. Maybe after our meeting with Katuitt, but I don't know. I just think, I don't know what it is they need and how complicated it really is.
Right.
So,
Any other thoughts on that one? Seeing none, we did get a letter of support from the West Barnstable Water Commission for the purchase of 18 acres parcel of land in West Barnstable for the protection of groundwater resources. I don't see if Mark Wharton made it on. I'm sure he was going to speak to that, and I don't see him. So anyway, I guess they just want us to begin to look at that as an open space acquisition. We could begin that, Mr. Lee, I think, with some brainstorming on what we want to get for evaluations on that. Groundwater flow, neighboring properties, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This area, if I remember, if my research is right, is within the groundwater protection zone.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Ellen has something.
Ellen, you got your hand up?
I also got an email late this afternoon from Ian Kennedy, the chairman of LAPC, in support of this.
Okay. All right. Would you get that out to the members when you have a moment? But anyway, we can get some idea of where to get started on this, and get back to you.
Farley has a question.
Farley, yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, not a question. Just wanted to say, in further support of getting an appraisal for this property, the LAPC was strongly supportive of it. So I just wanted to make sure that you know that there's a lot of interest.
Very good.
Okay.
Get some, and with the all approval, we would do that out of administrative funds. Would that be, rather than put an appropriation aside?
Right.
We can decide that when we get some numbers. Let's leave it at that.
Right.
Any other questions on that one?
No.
Gordon, did you have any information on any of that? Did you want to speak to these?
No, I don't. It's a piece of land that the Hyannis Water is doing some well drilling out in that area in Bridge Creek, and buying this piece of property would expand their 400-foot radius around a well and give them more places to position a well. So they're doing some extra drilling at the moment to find out how much water they can pull out of there and how viable the well is. It looks very good.
Okay, good.
So
we may want to combine some of these efforts.
Okay.
If we could. Any other questions? Seeing none?
Oh, Lindsay,
Go ahead, Tom.
If that is the case, do we need a support letter from Hans from the town or the water supply division?
That'd be a good idea too. Check in with him and see what his thoughts are in there. All right, let us get this together a little better, and we'll come back with some more info for you folks at the next meeting. Okay. Any other questions on that one? Seeing none. Trustees of reservations have sent us that letter that you saw with the options. Kate was going to be here to go into executive session to speak to that, but she was unavoidably detained. So we'll put that on for the next meeting. My general communications regarding this was to have a restriction on this, use restriction. I don't know, call it what you will, but maybe an easement for public access really is what it is. And I believe you saw from the letter, they want to look at some other options. So we'll have to discuss this next time.
Okay.
Next member discussion. Again, we had his two and restrictions. We've repeated that, so we've gone over that. Federated Church, we just discussed that during the letter. Federated Church burial ground. We finally were able to determine through Ellen's hard work and PM Brown from the church group that the other contractor that was hired to do this was not going to complete the job. And for short money, we could get a report and get this job finished from another consultant. And Ellen's and my thought on this was just to do it out of admin budget and get that report so we can find out the condition of these stones and where we go from there. So is there any questions on that one? This is another lingering project. The consultant abandoned, the original consultant abandoned the project, and we want to wrap it up. Tom, you have a question?
No question. We should wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Is that general, folks?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Do we know who the proposed consultant is or anything about them?
Yes, Ellen, you had some of that information on this consultant, right?
I think some of it was included in the packet.
Yeah, was there a letter in the packet that included the description, which I don't have right in front of me right now?
Oh, okay. I must have it then. Thank you.
We included the proposal, the full proposal. I'm pretty sure the name is in there.
And,
Okay, thank you.
and the work they did on Sturbridge, Cambridge, and Hingham, whoever they are.
Sounds promising.
Yeah. I think it's helpful. We did it in Falmouth when I was there in the CPC, and it's really very interesting, the stories those gravestones can tell. Very
amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Sarah, do I see Mark Wharton calling in by phone?
Yes. Oh.
Mark, are you there?
Yes, Lindsay, I am here.
We already went over the letter of request from the water board. We were going to get some facts and figures on various analyses and things that we needed to do. Did you want to speak to that?
I just wanted to put a voice or a face to my signature on the letter that we sent to you from the West Barnstable Water Commissioners. I'm unable to get in via Zoom. I'm having technical difficulties, but I wanted to let you know that we unanimously support the acquisition of this property by the town of Barnstable, because there's probably going to be a need for a future town of Barnstable well on this property for public water supply, probably for the village of Hyannis. So if not Hyannis, then for West Barnstable, and if not for either, then for both. So this is a very important piece of property, and we just wanted to let you know that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. That was that. Next, under a member discussion is a meeting format. How do we want to run that? I haven't heard any new rules or changes on these rules. Ellen, have you heard any? We can still do Zoom going forward?
So far, I haven't heard anything. I hear that sometime in March, there's a date where it's either going to be extended or not.
Okay.
So we need to wait for that date.
All right. Well, we can do the March meeting via Zoom again. And that works for me. Members, any comments, thoughts on that? None?
Sounds good.
Okay. We'll do it in Zoom. That's on the 20th of March. And then we do have to start thinking about our annual community preservation annual meeting. And I believe we had talked about April, Ellen, for that, perhaps?
Yes, April 17th is a good day because the planning board, we're not going to be limited for time with the planning board coming in behind us, the planning board meeting coming in afterward. So that
Okay,
would be the first day, and it would give everyone some lead time to prepare for it.
we have to do the advertising and all that.
And the advertising too. There needs to be time to do that.
And
All right.
I believe Catherine and I said we'd help do the subject or whatever's going to happen. You remember that? Okay.
Yes, that'd be great if you guys want to come up. Well, it'd be the agenda actually.
Yeah.
If you guys want to start working on that, that'd be great.
Okay.
And if it doesn't quite work out, how's the May meeting look? Is the Board of Health, Board of Planning Board in on May?
I'm gonna check one sec.
Okay.
Are you thinking it's going to take us longer then?
No, just always good to have backup plan.
Yes,
You know,
I know.
if it doesn't work out, well, then we could go to June.
How about a
But,
summer picnic?
Yeah, we could do it out on the lawn of the town hall.
Yeah, yeah.
May 15th is expected. It's in between the planning board dates. It's they're on the 2nd and 4th, and that would be the 3rd Monday.
Okay, so we're good on that. So let's shoot for the spring, get it going, and we'll take another look at that handbook and wrap that up early too this year. It'd be great. Keep the ball rolling along here.
Sometime it's got to stop.
Yeah, sometime. And we had a couple of updates as well. Tales of Cape Cod application was approved at the February 2nd Town Council meeting. And the 4 applications approved and recommended at the January 23rd CPC meeting have been returned for inclusion on a Town Council agenda in March. That would be the DPW Cape Cod Rail Trail Phase 3 and 4, Unitarian Church in Barnstable, and the COMM Water Department. So we've got 4 items coming up there, and we've got another application moving forward with DPW. That is what I had. Any other comments from members, questions?
Lindsay, I
James?
just had a quick thought on that West Barnstable property. I don't know if anybody's thought or looked at this yet, but would it make sense to look at maybe both parcels there? Because there is 2 lots for sale, maybe one of them for housing, like Lombard Farms across the road. I believe that was a CPC project way back in the day, wasn't it?
Some.
I'm sorry, Deb?
I said some CPC
Some
money.
CPC
We got a
money,
part of that.
yeah.
Yeah, that may be something. I mean, when, you ask us to look at it, all the areas.
Just throwing it out there. I mean, if we're, maybe take the bite of the whole apple and if we can, kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Never.
All right.
Jim, that's a good idea. I was going to comment on it because as I'm seeing all of these save the land, which I think is wonderful, and all these recreation projects, I kind of am squirming a little because we are so far. It's no good to have a playground if you don't have kids to play on it. I mean, that is the bottom line. And we're getting to that point. People are moving because we're not moving fast enough to get anything done. And I'm very frustrated. And I have to say, we did have a good meeting with Jillian Douglas, and I think everybody is trying to move along, but it's very slow. So somebody, and I don't know who, has got to figure out how we can move faster than 10 years to do a project. And that's what it's been taking. So I mean, if we have to get advocates out there, marching along with everybody else, then that's what we'll have to do. But it's crazy to have all these other priorities and not really look at what's happening to us here, along with water quality. I mean, we have a lot of issues, but we have to address all the issues. It's a reality. So
Thanks, Deb. Good points. Good points. Any other comments from members? Any
Lindsay.
other comments from the public?
Lindsay,
Yes, Tom.
before you go, next time, can we ask Marks to give us an update on the financial sheets?
Yes, very
please.
good. Thank you for reminding me. Very good point. Ellen, make sure we get Mark in here. We never did hear the final numbers on the second disbursement of the state funding either, so we should be in good shape.
The other thing is I'd like a pie chart because I am one of those people that sees it better as a pie with different colors.
Yes, well, that too, Ellen, another subject came up through the local comprehensive planning committee is to get a report on CPC activities. We haven't revived that outline of ours since last March. So I'll talk to you about that too. Then that would be that's the source of the pie chart is those reports.
Mm-hmm.
Where we've been spending what.
Yes.
In what villages and that kind of stuff. But anyway, any comments from the public?
Lindsay, Roberta Mock has her hand raised.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Do I have to let her in, or what's the deal on that?
Hi, am I unmuted?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, hi. Thank you for everything that you do. I'm sorry I came in late and I missed the beginning, but I think it's important that we start moving towards a hybrid meeting, especially for community preservation. It's so important. I don't know how many people are watching on Channel 18, but when there's a hybrid meeting, I think there's a lot more. I have a lot of friends who are seniors that are not tech savvy, and I just hope especially where this is such an important committee, that we can start to move back to hybrid. That was my only suggestion.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Sarah, are you connected? Do you have any information on that for us? On when these meetings?
No, it's not really something I can speak to. I can tell you that the provisions allowing for remote participation do end on March 31st. And there's no word yet on it being extended or not. So that's all I have.
So at that point, we'd be going back to full public meetings, just like the olden days?
Yeah, I've been letting everybody know that if they don't decide something by March 31st, best is to just go back to in person. But I will obviously keep Ellen aware if there are any changes.
There you have it then. You would know if anyone does. So thanks for that. And we'll look to see what we're doing in April. I imagine our annual meetings too, that would have to be an in-person meeting. We could have some food and a little party and welcome, get to know each other again.
Yeah. Some people I've not met in person. Well,
really,
maybe for a field trip.
Yeah.
All right. So that was that. Any other comments, questions for the group? If not, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn the February 27th, 2023 meeting of the CPC. Any further discussion? I will call the roll. Marilyn Fifield.
Yes.
Deb Converse.
Yes.
Catherine Garofoli.
Yes.
Tom Lee.
Yes.
Farley Lewis.
Yes.
Stephen Robichaud.
Yes.
James Tenalia.
Yes.
And Lindsay Council votes yes. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Spring is coming. Spring is coming.